Alan Smith, welcome to the show. If you go into a grocery store today, you can find lots of convenient foods, but often those same foods are highly processed foods. You look on the wrapper and read the ingredients, and they're full of all kinds of preservatives and additives. On the other hand, of course, natural organic foods is what nature intended for us to consume. You can grow your own, or you can support your local farmers. There is nothing like the aroma of fresh, whole grain baked bread. Ozark Natural Breads makes bread using sprouted grains and natural ingredients. This family-owned and operated company has been making bread for over 30 years. They believe bread can be delicious and beneficial to your health. When your food's natural and homemade, hey, it tastes better and it's healthier for you.
We specialize pretty much in sprouted grain breads, and then we do other things as well, but the nutrition value and stuff is so much higher in those than any other bread, and something they're really not doing around here right now. So. Today we're making our wholesome hemp bread. It's a sprouted bread made with sprouted grains. We sprout the grains for 5 days before we start the grinding. We've got them ready now to grind, so we'll shut the lid up and we'll start grinding. Started out pretty small. I've got my wife and my son and my daughter, and then we have other employees as well. Down here we've got the sprouts coming out, sort of like a hamburger is what they look like. These are the ones that have been sprouting since last Friday. And then we'll mix it with other ingredients to make the bread. If we get this all ground, we'll then add it to the mixer, add the rest of our ingredients, the yeast, the salt, the molasses, and then it mixes about 10-15 minutes. Then we'll divide that up. This will make about 240 loaves. We're gonna stop now and add some more grain to this. It doesn't quite hold all in the hopper. So over here we have our sprouted wheat. You can see in here, you can see the little sprouts starting. Because you're getting your extra nutrients and stuff out of those sprouts. If you can't pronounce it, we don't put it in the bread. You know, there's so many things in bread that you can't even look at the label and it's so long. We basically use simple ingredients. We use, you know, the whole grain stuff, the molasses, salt, honey, natural things like that, not monodiglyceride, whatever, you know.
This is fresh ground hemp seed. We actually import it from Canada and grind it ourselves.
The hemp seed has like a perfect protein and stuff in it, and has the amino acids, the oils and stuff that you really need in your body.
Let's turn this mixer on and get this going. So we'll incorporate the rest of the dough, but this bread is packed full of healthy seeds. We've got sunflower seeds, flax seeds, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, and then the fresh ground hemp seeds.
The secret in the mixing time, if you mix it too long, then it breaks down the protein. Not enough, it doesn't build them up enough. You gotta get that just right time where the elasticity is, they make a gluten window where you hold up the dough, you stretch it, and it kind of gets out thin. And that's how you pretty much tell when it's ready. Mixing, then we divide each dough piece into 33 pounds. And that goes through a divider that divides it into 20 pieces. From there through a conical rounder, and then into the overhead proofer, which is it goes through the process of that each time. It dumps it to the next basket, and then by the time it gets to the end, it drops out in the sheeter. Then we seed that bread, so we dip it in water, and then we put a mixture of seeds on top. Then it has to go through a rising period, and then into the oven.
We supply bread to quite a few of the non-chain, locally owned restaurants in the area. Some of these clients we've had for a few decades even. Like Hugo's, we've done the buns for Hugo's for we're probably almost going on 30 years now. Yeah, one of our first restaurant accounts here in the area.
We're pretty much a wholesale business, and so we deliver to the restaurants or wherever, and we don't really hear the feedback. But now that we're doing farmers market, we get to hear people's comments, and it's rewarding to hear that, you know.
Who doesn't love the idea of being able to walk outside onto your deck and pick some beautiful fresh produce? Coming up next. With the Little Birdie series, it doesn't matter whether you have a garden or not. It's a cascading cherry type tomato. You can grow them in containers or in a hanging basket like this. Let me show you how. We've got an easy and unique homemade ketchup recipe, so stay with us. If you end up with a bumper crop of tomatoes this year, try this Smoky homemade tomato ketchup. It is great on eggs, French fries, and even meatloaf. Is it a farm or a brewery? It's both. Coming up next. Prestonrose Farm and Brewery is a really interesting experience if you love herbs and beer. They have a brewery right there at the farm. They grow some of their vegetables and herbs, and those herbs like basil make its way into some of their best blends.
Well, Prestonrose is our last name, and Rose is the family that we bought the farm from. The Rose family, they went in the 30s in the Depression to California for like 3 years in a row picking grapes to make the money to buy 160 acres, I think, up here. And they farmed it from the 30s to the 90s. The same couple farmed it for 60 years, so we thought that was a pretty amazing story.
So today we're going to brew a watermelon basil beer, and we're going to harvest the last little bits of basil that we have left on the farm for that beer. This is just for flavor and aroma, so we don't really care if we're getting seeds and leaves. We'll get as much flavor into there as we can.
We have a working brewery here. It's been open since February. You know, we're not home brewing anymore. My wife was a home brewer for 7 or 8 years. We moved here and it was just a long way to go get beer. That was good. She went to a school up in Vermont and became a professional brewer. And since then, she's made almost 60 beers, 30 gallons a piece, so it's like 1,800 gallons of beer. We sell it in half-gallon jugs in our front yard, and that's 3,600 jugs of beer, and we're only open 3 days a week, so it's been pretty good run so far.
So this is barley, it's malted barley. It goes right into water that is the perfect temperature for the enzymes that the barley has already built in to start working on the starches in there. And you can see all those little white pieces there are big chunks of starch, and that's sugar that the yeast will eventually turn into beer.
You can come here and you can drink the beer. You can go and see where the tomatoes came from. You can look at the hop vines. You know, you can experience as you're drinking the beer. We've had several people say, you know, it's one of the most unique breweries they've ever been to.
Let me show you some of these alternatives that we use with our chickens here at the farm. Coming up next. What's good for us is often good for our animals. For instance, with our poultry here at Moss Mountain Farm, we feed the very best feed possible to them. Great nutrition. We also give them plenty of grass. I'm a big believer in free-ranging the birds. But just like us humans, there are things that we take in the way of supplements that help bolster our immune system or give us more vigor and vitality. The same holds for, well, taking care of chickens. Let me show you some of these alternatives that we use. They're natural cures and remedies that we use with our chickens and other poultry here at the farm. One of the first things is diatomaceous earth. This is a food-grade diatomaceous earth, and it can be used in a number of ways. The chickens can consume it, which can help with deworming them. It's also good to put into their dusting boxes for bathing, and it will take care of external parasites such as mites and lice. One thing to keep in mind when using diatomaceous earth is that a little bit goes a long way. So what you want to do is give about 2% of diatomaceous earth to the amount of feed you're going to give by mixing it into the feed. And then there's good old garlic. Served up in a powder form, you can take 1.5 pounds of garlic to 50 pounds of feed. And what does it do for the birds? Well, it helps boost their immune system, and it too can help with those internal parasites. The other thing to think about is a probiotic. This is an animal-grade probiotic for all species of livestock. And just like for us, this animal-grade probiotic helps improve gut health. So just follow the directions on the label in terms of how much you use in the feed and so forth. Around here, there's some supplements that we use that are seasonal. For instance, in the fall, we have a lot of pumpkins. You've probably seen our big pumpkin house. Well, afterwards, we make sure we use all of those pumpkins feeding the chickens and the turkeys and the other poultry, even the other livestock. Pumpkins have a natural dewormer in them, so it's great to feed them both the seeds, the flesh of the pumpkin, as well as the skins. Now let's take a look at some liquids. Vinegar is very popular for humans. It's also beneficial for livestock. Chickens can benefit from it. We use an unpasteurized vinegar at 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. If you use vinegar, you don't want to put it in a metallic waterer. It needs to be plastic or glass or ceramic. The apple cider vinegar and the garlic helps with digestive health and also bolsters the immune system. And that goes for oregano. I had an old poultry judge tell me that using about 2 to 4 drops of this per 5 gallons of water also helps bolster the immune system. These are really good things to give your birds during the winter months. So these are just some supplements that we add to the general good nutrition that we give our birds. What we're all about is enhancing wellness and vitality in our flock. Give some of these a try. Want to learn more? Visit PAllenSmith.com for delicious recipes, garden tips, blog posts, and our online store. Well, as the old saying goes, you are what you eat. That's why it's so important for us to think about what we're consuming. It's not good to be consuming so much in the way of processed foods, although they may taste really good. Whole foods, organic foods, much better for us. Find a simple recipe. Create some things at home that you love and you can share with your family. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith.